Hey everybody, I'm Mike Krupa, and today we're going to talk about my absolute favorite topic, which is data. And this conversation will be specific to health insurance plan data. Because what I have found is one of the biggest problems for employers today is they're getting their renewal, whether it's fully insured, level funded, or self-funded, and there is no data behind it that is supporting why you are getting the renewal you are getting. And that has created a ton of pain for employers like you. And when you get those double digit and nasty renewals, you feel like you're getting taken advantage of from the insurance carrier when you're not getting a whole lot of backup behind it. But I want to tell you that there's a really good chance that you do have access to a ton of data, and you're probably just not seeing it from your health insurance broker. What I'm going to walk through today is what I look for in health insurance plan data to be able to do two things for an employer. The first is to be able to justify the renewal and let them know what is driving their health plan costs. And then the second, and even more important, is what data is actionable. Is there something we're seeing in the data that we can do something about it right now or in a future renewal to be able to impact claims down the road? So I'm going to be looking at it from that lens. And the report that we're going to be looking at today is called the Blue Insight Monthly Financial Report. And this is a Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois generated report, and it is available for any employer that has at least 50 employees enrolled on their health insurance plan with Blue Cross. Again, whether you're fully insured or self-funded. So I'm going to walk through this report and show you exactly what I look for in your health plan data. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this report has a lot of really good information in it. There's a lot of interesting information that probably doesn't apply. There's actionable information, but there's probably also some missing information in here. But first off, this is the title of the report, the Blue Insight Monthly Financial Report. Go request it or download it directly from the Blue Cross Blue Shield website. Next page is just going to be your overall table of contents. The only reason I'm even going to show you this page is because one of the pieces of information that's not like in your face right away, that is one of the first things that I'll look at before I'll even dive into this, is what's your per member per month or per member per year costs? And what are those costs year over year? Because I want to know on a per capita basis what your costs are and how that compared to the previous year. Because that right there is going to tell me whether your costs went up or went down. So just kind of a note there. But as we dig in further to the report, this is just the data parameters, nothing important here. Enrollment overview, while a lot of good, interesting information, I'm going to skip this page for now because I'm going to go to the next one, which tells me a little bit more data about your specific population. I want to know a handful of things about your medical demographics up here. The first is, what's your average contract size? Now, average contract size is just the ratio of the total number of members in your population, employees, spouses, and dependents, divided by employees. But I want to know how that changes year over year, because if you're covering more members than you were last year, well, your costs are going to go up. So right there is a pretty good indicator. Next, average age. This is something that you want to look at, because actuarially speaking, as you age each year, you're going to see an increase in costs of roughly 2 to 4%, depending on what your age is. So if your age is increasing year over year, you can expect your cost to increase as that age does. So take a look at that. And then you want to take a look at the percentage of employees in your population and members that are over the age of 65. This could be driving your costs, number one. That's a pretty actionable insight as well, because if they're over the age of 65, maybe there's some Medicare education we can do to get those higher risk people off of your health plan. And then lastly, you'll see females ages 20 to 24, and I realize this is pretty small here, but those are the women in childbearing years. So we want to understand if that portion is increasing, because that's going to likely be associated with an increase in cost there as well. So just a handful of things I look for there. This financial overview, financial summary, it's got, billed charges all the way down to paid charges. Honestly, I usually skip this page here because there's not a ton of useful information. The next page is like your network overview. Really, the only thing I'm looking for on this page is what's out of network. I want to know if any claims and any material claims are going out of network, because maybe there's some design tweaks that we can make to push people back to in-network facilities wherever possible. That's about the only thing I look for on this page here. Next up, this blue card savings analysis. Really, the only thing I think this does is kind of show you where you're spending your money by state, but I typically am not looking at this too hard. Your financial overview, this just shows you your claimants by pay band. You can see here it's like less than 200, 30 to 50,000, all the way up to $500,000 or more. I generally will look at this page if it's an HMO, because I don't get much more large claim information. But if it's a PPO plan, which this is, I will focus on the next page, which is really going to tell you who your high cost claimants are, de-identified, but you're going to see the relationship. Is it an employee, a spouse, a child? This is important because there are various strategies employers can implement, maybe like a spousal surcharge if you have a high cost spouse on the health insurance plan. We're also looking at the leading diagnostic indicator because we want to understand, is this an ongoing claim? Is this going to be there forever? I typically, this says inpatient, outpatient, and professional. This is your medical claims. Obviously, I'm going to look at that. But a big thing I focus on is the pharmacy paid. Because here you can pretty quickly tell if one of your high cost claimants is being driven because you have a specialty prescription drug on your health plan. And in this case, it looks like there probably is, because that's a pretty high number. And I know that there are various different ways to control specialty medications. So that's something that I'm going to focus on. And lastly, are they enrolled or not? Because if they're not enrolled and they're included in your renewal, and they're a very, very high risk, well, you have some justification to get your renewal a little bit lower if those employees are not on the health plan anymore.